I should have known something was wrong when my sister Jessica suddenly announced she could afford her dream wedding. Just 3 months ago, she'd been crying about having to settle for a backyard ceremony because of her budget. Now here she was, throwing the most extravagant wedding our small town had ever seen. The historic mansion venue alone cost a fortune, not to mention the premium open bar, 5-course gourmet dinner, and that designer dress she'd been gushing about all morning. A dress that cost more than my car. Isn't it gorgeous? Jessica twirled in front of the full-length mirror in the bridal suite, the delicate beadwork catching the light. I still can't believe I found it on sale. I forced a smile, bouncing my 4-year-old daughter Emma on my hip. Something about Jessica's story didn't add up, but I couldn't put my finger on it. It's beautiful, Jess. You look perfect. Sale? Our mother raised an eyebrow. I thought you said it was a sample dress. Jessica's reflection flickered for just a moment before her smile widened. Right, a sample sale. That's what I meant. I watched her adjust her veil, remembering how just last month she'd refused to be my daughter's emergency contact at preschool because she was completely broke. Yet here she was, dressed in what looked like $12,000 of hand-beaded silk. Mommy, Emma tugged at my bridesmaid's dress. That looks like the picture in your special box. My heart stopped. The special box. My grandmother's antique jewelry box, where I'd been keeping my savings for Emma's medical fund. She needed surgery for her hearing impairment, and insurance would only cover part of it. I'd been secretly saving for 2 years, keeping the money hidden because my ex-husband would have tried to claim it in our ongoing custody battle. What special box, sweetie? I tried to keep my voice steady. The one with all the money pictures. The one that was empty last week. The room suddenly felt very small. I'd noticed the box seemed lighter when I checked it a few days ago. But in the chaos of wedding preparations, I hadn't had time to count the funds. Jessica, my voice came out barely above a whisper. Where did you really get the money for this wedding? My sister's face went white, but before she could respond, our mother burst in. 5 minutes until showtime. Everyone line up. The next hour passed in a blur. I walked down the aisle on autopilot, stood through the ceremony with my thoughts racing, and somehow managed to pace on a smile for the photos, all while watching my sister parade around in what I was becoming increasingly certain was bought with my daughter's surgery money. During the reception, I couldn't stop thinking about Emma's words. Jessica had been at my house last weekend, insisting on helping me prepare for the wedding. She disappeared upstairs for almost an hour, claiming she was looking for my makeup bag. Time for the speeches. The DJ's voice boomed through the ballroom. I watched Jessica laugh with her new husband, both of them glowing with happiness bought with stolen dreams. My daughter's dreams. Emma sat beside me at the head table, her tiny hearing aids barely visible behind her curls. The aids that only partially helped, that wouldn't be enough as she grew older. The best man stood up, champagne in hand, ready to toast. But before he could speak, Emma pointed at Jessica's dress again. Mommy, it's just like the picture. The one from your special box with all the money for my ears. The room went silent. 200 pairs of eyes turned toward us. Jessica's champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. Emma, sweetie, I said slowly, loud enough for everyone to hear. What do you mean about Mommy's special box? The box with the pictures of money. Auntie Jessie was counting them in your room last week. She put them in her purple bag. Jessica jumped to her feet, her designer dress rustling. She's just a child, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But Emma wasn't finished. You said the pictures would help fix my ears, Mommy, but now they're gone, and Auntie Jessie has a pretty dress instead. I felt something inside me snap. All those extra shifts at the hospital, every penny saved, every sacrifice made, all of it stolen by my own sister for her perfect day. Jessica, I stood up slowly, my voice carrying across the silent room. Would you like to explain to everyone how you suddenly afforded this wedding? Or should I tell them about the $15,000 that disappeared from my daughter's surgery fund last week? The room erupted in gasps and whispers. Jessica's new husband turned to her, confusion written across his face. Our mother dropped her champagne glass, sending it shattering across the marble floor. I was going to pay it back, Jessica stammered, tears welling in her eyes. After the honeymoon. You have to understand. This was my dream wedding. My daughter's surgery was her dream. My voice broke. Her chance to hear properly. To have a normal life. How could you? The best man slowly sat down, speech forgotten. Jessica's husband stood up, his face ashen. What surgery fund? He demanded. Jessica, what did you do? I reached into my purse and pulled out my phone, hands shaking as I pulled up the photos I'd taken of my savings log. I've documented every deposit for 2 years. Would you like to see the exact amount that went missing the day you helped me prepare for the wedding, dear sister? The elegant reception hall had transformed from a scene of celebration to one of chaos. Jessica's new husband, Mark, stood rigid beside her, his face darkening as he scrolled through the photos on my phone. Images of the savings log, the empty jewelry box, and even a security camera snapshot of Jessica leaving my house with her suspicious purple bag. $15,000? Mark's voice cracked. You stole from your niece's surgery fund for this wedding. Jessica's mascara ran down her cheeks as she tried to grab his arm. Baby, please, I can explain. I was desperate. Desperate? I cut in, pulling Emma closer to me. You weren't desperate when you bought the $2,000 bridesmaids dresses we had to pay for ourselves, or when you booked the 5-star honeymoon suite. Our mother finally found her voice, stepping between us with trembling hands. There must be some mistake. Jessica would never. She couldn't have. Show them the video, Mommy, Emma said, her small voice somehow carrying across the tense silence. The one from your special camera. Jessica's head snapped up. What video? I pulled up another file on my phone. After my divorce, I'd installed security cameras throughout my house. Last week's footage clearly showed Jessica in my bedroom, methodically going through my belongings until she found the antique box. The timestamp matched perfectly with her supposed makeup bag search. I installed them to protect us from my ex, I said quietly. I never thought I'd need them to protect us from family. The video played, showing Jessica counting the money, stuffing it into her purple bag, then carefully replacing the empty box. The footage was crystal clear, damning in its detail. Mark stepped away from Jessica, pulling off his wedding ring. I can't believe this. You told me your parents gave you the money for the wedding. You said it was an early inheritance. Mom and Dad can barely afford their mortgage, I said, watching my sister crumble. They remortgaged their house last year. Another lie, Jess. Our father, who had been sitting in shocked silence, suddenly stood up. The mortgage? How did you know about that? Because I'm the one who's been helping them make payments, I revealed, feeling the last of my family's secrets spilling out. Every month, while Jessica told them she was too broke to help. The whispers among the guests grew louder. Jessica's perfect wedding was unraveling thread by thread, much like the elaborate lies she'd woven to make it happen. I'll pay it back, Jessica pleaded, mascara-stained tears dripping onto her stolen dress. I'll get a loan, work extra shifts, anything. Please don't ruin my wedding day. Ruin your wedding day? Mark laughed bitterly. You did that yourself when you decided to start our marriage with theft and lies. Emma tugged at my dress again. Mommy, will I still get new ears? Her innocent question cut through the chaos like a knife. Several guests dabbed at their eyes. My daughter's simple hope for better hearing had been sacrificed for centerpieces and champagne towers. What kind of surgery does she need? Mark asked, his attorney instincts clearly kicking in. Cochlear implants, I explained. Insurance covers part of it, but we needed the extra $15,000 for the procedure and recovery care. I've been saving for 2 years. Mark pulled out his checkbook. I'll write you a check right now. Consider it a wedding gift, or rather, a divorce settlement. Jessica lunged for him. Mark, no, please. We can work this out. Work what out? He stepped back. The theft? The lies? Finding out my new wife stole from a child's medical fund? There's nothing to work out. Our mother tried one last time to salvage the situation. Maybe we could all calm down, have some cake, discuss this later. Later? I couldn't hold back anymore. When exactly would be a good time to discuss how your daughter stole her niece's chance at normal hearing? After the honeymoon. Once the photos are done. When? The wedding planner hovered nervously nearby, clearly unsure whether to proceed with the reception timeline. The band had stopped playing, and the catering staff stood frozen with plates of untouched food. I want the money back by Monday, I stated firmly. Every penny, or I'm pressing charges. You wouldn't? Jessica gasped. I'm your sister. A sister who stole from my child. Watch me. Mark was already writing the check. I'll make it 20,000, he said. The extra is for any legal fees and emotional damages, and Jessica. He turned to his bride of less than 2 hours. Don't bother coming back to the house. I'll have your things sent to your mother's. As Mark handed me the check, Jessica made one final desperate attempt. It was just sitting there in that old box. She cried out. You didn't even need it right away. I was going to replace it before Emma's surgery date. Her surgery was scheduled for next month, I revealed, watching Jessica's face pale further. I was going to announce it at Mom and Dad's anniversary dinner. Surprise, your lies have consequences. The wedding planner finally found her courage. Should I tell the band to start packing up? Before anyone could respond, Emma spoke up again, her voice clear despite her hearing challenges. Does this mean I get my new ears now, Mommy? 2 months later, I sat in the hospital waiting room, clutching Emma's favorite stuffed bunny while she underwent her cochlear implant surgery. The events of Jessica's wedding had become somewhat of a local legend, with Mark filing for annulment the very next day and my sister moving back in with our parents in disgrace. The check Mark wrote had cleared immediately, and thanks to his generosity, we could afford not just the surgery but also the best post-operative care and therapy Emma would need. Sometimes karma works in unexpected ways. Mrs. Thompson. A nurse appeared with a gentle smile. Emma's surgery went perfectly. She's in recovery now. I released a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. As I followed the nurse down the sterile hallway, my phone buzzed with yet another text from Jessica. Please let me come see Emma. I need to make things right. I ignored it, just as I'd ignored the dozens of messages, tearful voicemails, and attempted visits over the past 2 months. Some betrayals cut too deep for simple apologies to heal. Emma looked tiny in the recovery bed, her head wrapped in bandages. The doctor explained they'd activate the implants in a few weeks, once she healed properly. My brave little girl had taken everything in stride, even telling her preschool class she was getting magic ears like a superhero. Mommy? She whispered groggily as I took her hand. Did they give me my new ears? Yes, baby. Soon you'll be able to hear everything so clearly. As Emma drifted back to sleep, I heard a commotion in the hallway. To my disbelief, Jessica was arguing with a nurse, trying to push her way into the recovery room. Ma'am, only immediate family is allowed, the nurse insisted. I am family. I'm her aunt. Sarah, please just let me see her. I stepped into the hallway, closing Emma's door behind me. What are you doing here? Jessica looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, unwashed hair, wearing what looked like old pajamas. I had to come. Mom told me the surgery was today. I've been sitting in my car for hours, trying to work up the courage. To what? Steal her pain medication. Maybe take the implants to sell for another wedding. She flinched. I deserve that. I deserve all of it. But please, I need to make amends. Amends? I laughed bitterly. You know what Mark told me? That you've been planning this for months. That you went through my house multiple times, searching for valuables before you found the money. That's not a desperate mistake, Jess. That's calculated theft. I know, she whispered, sliding down the wall to sit on the floor. I know what I did was unforgivable. The therapist Mom made me see. She's helping me understand how toxic my need for perfection had become. How I justified hurting my own family for a fantasy wedding. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. We'd grown up sharing everything. Clothes, secrets, dreams. Somewhere along the way, she'd lost herself in the pursuit of appearances, willing to sacrifice anything and anyone for the perfect image. Emma asks about you sometimes, I admitted. She doesn't understand why Auntie Jessie doesn't visit anymore. Fresh tears spilled down Jessica's cheeks. What do you tell her? That sometimes grown-ups make big mistakes and they need time to learn how to be better people. Are you really pressing charges? She asked quietly. I shook my head. Mark's check covered everything. But Jessica, the trust is gone. You'll need to rebuild it from scratch if you ever want to be part of our lives again. How? Start by getting help, real help, not just the therapy Mom arranged. Get a job. Pay Mark back. Show me through actions, not words, that you understand what you did wrong. A nurse appeared in Emma's doorway. She's asking for you, Mrs. Thompson. I turned back to my sister. I need to go. Emma needs me. Sarah? Jessica called as I reached for the door handle. Thank you. for not pressing charges. And I'm so sorry, not just for taking the money, but for being the kind of person who could do that to her own niece. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Inside, Emma was sitting up slightly, her tiny face brightening as I entered. "Mommy," I heard voices. Was someone there? I smoothed her hair around the bandages. "Just someone learning a very important lesson, sweetie. About magic ears." I smiled, thinking about Jessica sitting in the hallway, finally facing the consequences of her actions. No, baby, about something much more important: how to be a better person. As Emma drifted back to sleep, I sent a quick text to our mother. Jessica was here. Get her into a good outpatient program. Maybe in 6 months, if she's doing the work, we can talk about supervised visits. Looking at my daughter's peaceful face, I realized sometimes the hardest lessons come wrapped in the most painful packages. Jessica had lost everything chasing a perfect day, while Emma would gain a whole new world of sounds thanks to her aunt's disgrace and her ex-almost uncle's conscience. The irony wasn't lost on me that in trying to create the perfect wedding memory, Jessica had instead created an unforgettable lesson about the true meaning of family, and how trust, once broken, leaves scars that take far longer to heal than any surgical wounds.